Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Lana Garvin, a licensed therapist and multidimensional guide. And here we talk about all things mental health, energy, awakening, consciousness, and the amazing potential of the human being, who we actually are, because I think all of us have forgotten that. So welcome to my channel if you're new. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm glad that we can chat for a little bit in my virtual office. This is actually my therapy office where I see clients, and I also see coaching clients as well. And so if you're looking for some assistance, I am here for that. You can contact me in my email that's in my bio, but I'd love to work with you if that is something that you're interested in. Today, what I wanted to talk about is emotions, because emotions are something that we all feel. Like, we all know what emotions are. We've been feeling them since the minute we came into this world. And we also feel trapped by them a lot of times. We feel overwhelmed by them a lot of times. We don't really know, most of us don't really know, like, how to process our emotions. We just don't know how to do it. And when we come into this world as babies, we know how to, we know we cry, right? We feel something, we cry. You know, when a baby's going through something, it's crying. It needs its diaper change, it needs food, it's tired, it's crying. That's how it's moving that energy. But somewhere along the way, we learn to suppress our emotions or project them everywhere. And a lot of that is determined by what your household was like when you were younger. So if you had a chaotic household where a lot of emotional energy was flying around, dysregulated, you likely just learned how to survive that rather than how to process anything. So first, we want to start off by talking about what emotions actually are. Emotions are energy in motion. Like, that's it. It's how they're spelled. Emotion, energy in motion. And it's an energy that moves through your body that gives you the visceral experience of being alive. Emotions are an energy that moves through your body that gives you the visceral experience of being alive. And so we get freaked out by our emotions. We don't like them. We feel like, oh no, if I'm feeling something big, I'm broken. Something's wrong with me. I'm here to tell you, nothing's wrong with you, and you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're actually just alive. You're a human being who's alive, having an experience and an emotion. The emotional energy is something that you feel to let you know that something's happening to you. So if you can think of like those video games, you know, the video game controllers when you're playing a game and they vibrate when something's happening to your character. It's basically saying something's happening to you, you need to pay attention to this. And that's what emotions are. It's a sensation that we feel in our bodies that let us know that life is happening to us, that we feel some type of way about it, that we're actually like in life. So that's the first thing, just knowing what emotions are, half the battle. So when you can understand them as an emotion that moves, as an energy that moves through your body, then you can realize like, well, maybe I can work with this, because I'm here to tell you another thing about emotions, which is that's how we get life force energy delivered to us, is through our emotions. It's a delivery. So when we participate in life, when we interact with other human beings, when we go through different challenges and overcome or are in a growth period, we're going to feel a lot of emotion. And that's it's like a boost of energy to push you into the next step. And it usually comes with a message. But a lot of times when that wave hits, when we start feeling it, we shut it down. We shut it down and we turn our bodies into storage containers instead of columns, which is what we're meant to do. We're just meant to let it move up and out, let it move through us, let it flush through us. But instead we stop it and we say, I don't want to feel this. Something's wrong with me. I'm broken. I'm bad. Whatever the mind wants to make up. That's another thing. When we feel an emotion, it's a sensation. Well, your brain is just a computer that is here to process the sensory information that you're getting. So when you feel an emotion, like fear, let's say, the brain says, oh, it's like putting a Bing search into your brain and saying, tell me all the times I've been afraid. And then, of course, your brain is going to tell you all these stories about what you have to be afraid of, all the dangers in your life, perceived or real. It doesn't matter. The brain just likes to do whatever it feels you need to know. It's giving you messages. It's always communicating with you. It's always trying to help you. Everything, and that's another thing I want you to know, everything in your system is always trying to help you. So if an emotion is coming to the surface for you, it's there because you're ready to feel it. You're ready to feel it. Your nervous system can handle it. This is why people block out like whole chunks of their childhood. It's because their nervous system can't handle it to process it. And so the brain's just like, yeah, we're not going there. We're not going to let that come to the surface, because that's not going to make it good for you to be able to move forward, do the things you want to do in your life. So we've got emotions are energy in motion. We have emotional energy as life force energy with a message, and it's there to get you to move to the next step. And so the key for us is, first, when we're dealing with emotions, is to allow them to move. And instead of listening to what the mind says, so let's say you have that fear story coming up, and the mind says, oh no, this is going to be bad. You're going to fail just like you did that other time. And then you start cycling through and you imagine the failure, and now you're feeling more emotion from the thoughts that you're having, and now you're in a spiral, and now you're not moving forward. And so all that energy that's being delivered to you to get you through this next thing is now pooling in your body, and your body, being the great friend that it is to you, says, okay, well, we're not moving. You're not choosing to move. So we've got to store it. It gets stored in the water in your body. It gets stored in your fascia in your body. It gets stored in this container of your body. And over time, what that does is it causes all kinds of distortion in your energy field, because you have a certain frequency that you vibrate at, and emotions all have a different frequency. And so when you have pockets of emotion or stored emotion, it lowers your frequency. So the only things that you can connect to are things that are a match to what you're holding in your system. So if you're holding a lot of trauma, you're going to be drawn to situations that produce more traumatic events. And maybe you've had experiences like this where you're like, why am I repeating the same thing over and over? It's because your brain, your body, it's all trying to get you to move this through, to clear, to close the loop. So life and your body and your nervous system is all trying to help you move forward and get to your highest expression. That's all it's trying to do. It's trying to move you forward. And emotions are a huge part of that. So when you feel an emotion rising, just notice, okay, this is a wave. This is a wave of energy that's coming into my experience. It's coming into my system, and it's giving me a message. And so you want to just kind of, first of all, when you feel it, you don't want to go into the story, and you don't want to think about, like, why is this here? Instead, you want to just calm yourself and use your breath as a way to ground and anchor yourself in, and just think about moving this energy. It takes about 17 seconds for an emotion to peak and then go down. Just 17 seconds. And so if you can sit with it, tell the mind, like, we're good. We don't need to figure this out right now. Breathe with it, like deep breath, like longer exhale is really good to signal to your body that you're safe, especially like if you're in anxiety. If you're in anger is like a real explosive emotion. It really gets you, it tells you, like, okay, these are boundaries. I need to set a boundary somewhere. We only get mad when a boundary's been violated. And so you usually get a big burst of energy. What you want to do with anger is do like a rage breath, like or if you go to the gym or work out, like take it all out in your workout. Use it as you're lifting, use it as you're punching or kicking or running or pushing your body. Move that energy, concentrate and intend for that to move through your system. And sadness is there to show you what you've attached to, what you love. And it usually invites you into the past, into processing and thinking of things. And so sadness is about honoring. It's about honoring the experiences that you've already had. And so if you're being pulled into sadness, it's really good to just sit with it and nurture yourself through that. Let yourself feel it, and don't go be hard on yourself about it, because too often when we get sad, we think, oh, I'm failing, or I'm depressed, this is bad. And it's not bad. It's just part of being human. And so as our emotions are moving through our system, as they're coming up, we want to just let them move. And once you go through that 17 seconds without grabbing a hold of it and looping it through your mind and creating more, you can, on the other side, you can go and say, okay, what was that about? Like, what was happening right before that happened? Or what was I thinking about before that happened? And then you can maybe try to understand it and source it. But when you're right in the experience of that wave moving through your system, it's not a good time to try and figure it out, because figuring it out is going to be tainted by what you're actually feeling. So if you're feeling afraid and you're trying to figure it out, you're just going to become more afraid. If you're feeling anger and you're trying to figure it out, you're going to become more angry. It's an amplifier to just like think about things. So you just want to let it move through your system. Let it move through, let it roll through. You breathe, you move, you sound, you let that clear your system. And then on the other side, you can look back and say, okay, what was that about? And once you get the message, then you can tap into what is left, that reservoir, and you can say, what's my next aligned action? So I felt that, I think that, I feel that. What is the next step that I can take that is going to help solve this problem, make some movement, change the circumstances, so that on the other side of the emotional expression is when we want to go into decision making about what to do about it or why it's there. And this is so important right now because our collective of humanity, we are like a powder keg right now. I know you can feel it. If you're out and about driving, you can feel the energy of intensity. You can feel it when you're online and scrolling through social media. You can feel it. It's in the air. We're all full of all of this emotional energy that's been unprocessed. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault because most of us, we inherited in our DNA, encoded into our DNA, unexpressed grief and trauma from past generations where it wasn't cool. Like this is like the first time, last 20 years or so, where it's actually looked at like as a good thing to like process your emotions and to heal. Prior to this, like think about your grandparents or your great grandparents, like it wasn't cool for them to process their emotions or to go see somebody and get some help. It was considered, oh, you're crazy. Oh, it was something that was hush hush. Nobody talks about it. We just put on our happy face and push through. Well, we can't do that anymore because the frequency on the planet it's been rising for a while, like a little bit at a time. And as it's rising, this lower vibrational energy that's stored in our systems is getting squeezed to the surface. And it's like we're all kind of having these trigger events because we're meant to clear this out. We can't take this with us where we're going. Again, we're not meant to be containers. We're meant to be columns. We're meant to let it move. We're meant to let it flow. Because when you think about energy, you think about water. Water is a great example of the movement of energy. Water wants to flow. And when it doesn't flow, it gets stagnated. And when it gets stagnated, it gets gunky and distorted and gross. And it doesn't feel good at all to let it move through versus the sensation of like swimming in clean water as opposed to stagnant waters that's been sitting there for a long time. So we're in this moment. It's like a chapter is opening up. There's so much going on with the sun. If you look at any space weather forecasts, oh my gosh, like the solar activity is off the charts. All of the astrology, the planetary alignments, what's going on with that totally affects what's happening in our emotional bodies. It happens in our physical bodies. All of it is designed to move us into this next chapter where we use everything as fuel. You use your emotions as fuel rather than something that we just send to other people and project everywhere. So we are in this clearing moment and it's really been ramping up. I'm sure you felt it. I mean, 2025 has been the year of the snake, which is literally all about just clearing, shedding what no longer serves. We cannot take all this baggage with us because whatever is stored in our body affects our state. And whatever our state is affects what we expect. It affects our beliefs. It affects what we are going to manifest. And because we've been holding all of this trauma collectively, we are collectively manifesting a reality that is full of more trauma. And so we don't need to be doing that anymore. So it's time to work with actually what is here. That's what creation is. You're a creator. You are a creator. It actually even says that in the Bible. Like we are made in God's image. Well, what is God? He's a creator. We are creators. You're always creating. You're always manifesting. And you're manifesting from your state. And having a clean system where things move through is like the most important tool, most important key to clearing out your field and staying in your clarity and being able to broadcast a signal of abundance or of hope or of excitement for the future or of positive expectation. So we all need to do our part because when one person starts processing their emotions instead of projecting them, that's less emotional energy that's being recycled in the collective. When one person starts shifting, all the people connected to that person shift as well. And then the people connected to that person shifts and it becomes this domino effect. So if you are feeling extra emotional these days, if you are finding that you're feeling a lot of stuff coming up from the past, like old stuff from like way back when, childhood stuff, instead of feeling like you're being attacked by your emotions, lean into it. And you don't have to figure out like, why is this here and what's wrong with me? You just need to let it move. And so use breath, use movement, use sound to move that through your system. And then on the other side, go back and try to source it, try to understand it, try to maybe put the pieces together, connect the dots so that your story makes a little more sense to you. But this will help you so much. I teach this to all of my clients. And I want to leave you with a practice that is super great. And it's a way to lean into emotions without having to wait to get triggered to release them. And I call it the emotional purge practice. So what you can do is you take a piece of paper and you write at the top anger. And then you just write everything that you're holding that you're angry about and just get it out. No editing, just like bullet points, however you want to do it, just you're dumping it out. Then you do the same thing for fear and you do the same thing for sadness. And so anger is going to show you where you need boundaries. So you can look at the themes of those and be like, where might I need to set a boundary? Maybe if you get angry every time somebody cuts you off or interrupts you, that might be a time to use your voice and set a boundary. Like, hey, when you cut me off, I feel really disrespected. Next time it would be better if you would like, let me finish what I had to say. Fear is another one. So fear is going to show you where you've been wounded or traumatized in the past, where you've had uncomfortable negative experiences. So if you have some fear themes going on, it's usually associated with a belief that you have around a perceived threat in your life. And so to make sense out of your fear, you can look at what were the threats in my life as a child? Was it safety? Was it security? Was it nurture? Was it neglect? Like, where did you not get your needs met? A lot of our original fears are like tomato plants. They start growing and then they just grow more and more and more and more and more. But you can source when you can look at what you're carrying in your field now and what you're holding around fear. It can give you a clue as to where you've had some negative experiences. And that would be great to work with a professional, with a healer. You can work with me to understand and repattern that. Because when we have experiences that happen early on in life, it gets written into like our rule book for how we are and what we believe about the world. And it takes some skill to go back and repattern that and tell a different story, but it's possible and it's permanent, which is great. And then sadness is really just a record of what you've loved, what you've attached to. It shows you your investment in life. It can show you more about who you really are. What do you get sad about? What you get sad about shows you what you love. What you love shows you who you are. So sadness can be a beautiful clue as to who you actually are. So you do anger, you do fear, you do sadness, and then you read it and read it and read it until it feels boring to you. That's just so that you can sort of clear the charge. It's sort of like if you walk around and rub your feet on the carpet and you build up a static charge and then you touch the metal, it discharges and creates a little shock. This is what this process can do for your emotional energy, and it can offer you a reset. And if you're about to start a healing process with somebody or even on your own, that is going to be a great place to start to figure out what are the themes that I'm working with, what is holding me back, where am I getting tripped up in my story. And then once you're done reading it, you can burn it, you can wet it down and shred it up, you can put it through a shredder, you can just be done with it. And then you can have this sense of, okay, I know where I've been. I've cleared the decks as much as I can. And again, you're only going to have available to you whatever your nervous system can actually handle to feel. So if you are getting triggered in your life, just trust that it's only showing up because you're actually ready to feel it and release it. But it's so important that we clear our fields out of this, because as things continue to get crazy externally, as there's more and more chaos, more and more division, we are going to need to be sovereign and clear and not able to be manipulated emotionally, not to be able to be reactive emotionally. This is how we claim our power. Because if somebody is able to manipulate your emotions, they have control over you. And I am such a huge proponent of us being in our sovereignty, being in our clarity, so that we can actually choose consciously, where do we want to go next? What do we want to build next? What kind of a world do we want to live in? We cannot create that individually or collectively if we are still holding on to old, unprocessed emotion. So that's my little blurb, 20 minutes about emotions. And hopefully this is helpful. If you like this, please subscribe, please share, like it. Comment in the comment section. It does help the algorithms. I do want to create community here. I want to create a space where we can talk about these things, and I can offer you what I know and am learning, and what I've been doing with clients and seeing just massively amazing results. So I want to close this out with so much love for you. It's an honor to even have the ability to talk to more than one person at a time. I'm so grateful for this experience. I'm grateful for you for being here. And I want to remind you, you're not broken. You are not broken. You're not behind. You are right on time for your life. And if this video found you, it's because you're ready. So I'm sending you so much love. Take a deep breath in and exhale and just let it all go. Much love to you, my friends. See you next time.